So today I want to talk to you about the why, the how, and the when of automation. First thing we want to know is why we would automate anything. So sure, it's going to make our life easier. It's going to simplify our workflow. But how do we know which automations to choose? Well, by asking these questions, the why, the how, and the when, we can actually make it a lot simpler to understand the value of the automation. For example, why would we automate? Well, the first question you want to ask is, who is the resource that is doing this task at the moment? Let's say it's a person. How long does it take them to do this task? Is it something that takes them 30 seconds? Is it something that takes them 30 minutes? Is it something that takes them 30 days? And the second question you want to ask is how often this task is happening, right? So if it's something that's taking them 30 seconds and they're doing it once a month, probably don't want to automate that. Not at the moment, not top priority, maybe for scalability down the line. But again, you have to ask yourself, what is the value of doing the automation now versus the cost of not doing the automation now? But if this is a task that's happening every day, a few times a day, and it's taking quite a while, even if it's taking a minute or 5 minutes or even 30 seconds, right? If it's happening all the time, there's more of a chance of human error just via the repetition, and it's taking time that you could be delegating to a tool, thus saving time and having that employee do something else. So that's the answer to the question of why we would automate. We would automate in order to save that repetition, to save the time, and to save on human error. You also want to ask yourself, what is the cost of not doing this automation? What is the cost of leaving that in the hands of that employee, even if that employee is yourself, right? So what is the cost of not doing this automation and leaving it to chance, leaving it to human error, leaving it to sick days, leaving it to things falling between the cracks as things do? That's the answer to your why. The next thing we want to talk about is the how. When we choose how to do an automation, we're basically choosing the tools that we're going to be using. What tools will be taking over the responsibility for this task? To what tools are we going to delegate? And that incurs cost. What is the cost of the tool versus what is the cost of the employee doing the task, right? So once again, if we go back to it's 30 seconds once in 3 months, sure, that's not a cost that we actually have to worry about. And so I wouldn't necessarily automate that. But if this is happening 30 seconds once an hour, that's going to add up over time. You're going to go, wait a minute, maybe the cost of the licensing fees and the subscription fees, maybe that's worth it to save on the cost of the employee fees that we're going to be paying. You also have to take into consideration the cost of setting up the automation. So that's usually going to be a little bit more expensive than you're spending right now because you're going to want to hire a specialist or you're going to do it yourself and it's going to take you time, right? So if you're sitting on Zapier or on Make and you're working on it for 5 hours or 20 hours, that's 5 or 20 hours that you need to be paid for. You need to cover the cost for that. But again, short-term versus long-term, short-term costly, long-term cost efficient, depending on the recurrence of the task and the complexity of the task and the benefits that we talked about in the why. The third thing we want to talk about is when. When do you start an automation? If you've just opened your business, do you want to go, oh, wait, yes, let's make an automation because I've just opened my business? Or are you going to wait? You're going to see what your processes are, what you can automate, what you need to automate, what will enable you to achieve scalability down the road. Well, to answer that question, the first thing we want to know is what don't we know? What are the processes that we have in place, but we don't really know how they're going to develop? Or what don't we have in place? I'm onboarding a client. I don't know what my steps are. Well, if I don't know what my steps are, I can't automate it. On the other hand, if I've onboarded 1 or 2 clients, okay, I sort of have an idea. I can start figuring out what I want to delegate to the tool. So the clearer you outline your workflow, the easier it will be to decide, okay, I'm ready for an automation now because I know what I need to automate. Automations will also help you scale. So if your business has started, but now you're ready to take on more, you need to free up more of your time. That's how you know that it's time to automate. It's time to build an automation to take the workload off of your shoulders. And it's pretty easy math when you think about it, because when you're automating, you're taking it off of your shoulders. Yes, that's one, but you're also freeing yourself up to do other things. So let's say I'm doing a task and it takes me 30 minutes. And if I'm paid $100 an hour, 30 minutes is $50. If I automate that task, I've saved $50. But not only have I saved $50, I now have that 30 minutes to do client-based work that I could get paid for, which is another $50. So I've not only saved $50, I've also earned $50. And yes, I know the math is a bit more complex than that, but big picture, That's how you can look at it. So when you're ready to delegate, that's when you know, okay, wait, now I have to find the right tools. I need to find the right process, and I need to delegate to tools and automate. And the third element of the when to automate is when you find there are things in your process that are falling between the cracks. So usually I would say to delegate to a person, which is great. But if you can delegate to a tool, that's even better because long term, it's more cost efficient. So today we talked about the why, the how, and the when of automation. If you're not automating yet, start thinking about what you could automate in your process. Start looking at what you're doing on the day to day, what's repetitious, what's taking up time that you really don't like doing either, and think, I could delegate that out, and try and think if you could do that to a tool. Not sure if you could do it to a tool? That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Reach out to people like me. There are tons of us on the internet. There are tons of us on LinkedIn. Find us, ask the questions, or just pop them in the comments below. Trust me, you're on your way to automation sooner than you think.